Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to New York Revival. We got Spiro. I am Jefe. We have a very special guest, Stephie Smalls, today, and it is just about fantasy football season. It's time to get excited. That's why we brought in our good friend Stephie Smalls, who I'm sure you know. I mean, she got her start 2 years ago, same exact time as us. We were friends then, and then she just went ahead and took off like a freaking rocket through the Twitter sphere. She's got like 20,000 followers now, but she never is too big for us, right? She comes back, she does these shows. We're ready to have some fun. Stephie, how are you?
I'm good. Like I said, I was telling you guys, it's so surreal to like look back and think about when we started and where we were and how far we've it's awesome. And you guys know I love you guys so much. So, and I'm excited because I don't get to talk about fantasy football as much as I would love to anymore. So this is so exciting for me.
You're on to some new things.
I know, but I miss my Giants and strictly fantasy football talk.
I know. We're having fun with this. We wanted to do this because me and Spiro are both really into fantasy football. Obviously, the Giants are all of our kind of our roots, right? Like the root is the Giants fandom. And then, New York Revival, we started covering all New York sports teams a little bit and having fun with that. We rode the New York Rangers like a tidal wave. That was really fun.
Right.
But now we're like, let's dive into fantasy. Let's have some fun with that. First of all, I thought I saw something about a birthday. Was it your birthday this week, Steph? Or did I make that up?
My birthday is Monday.
It's coming up on
Monday, right? Is that the 15th? Yeah, Monday.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Yeah.
They stop getting as exciting as you get old. Like every year they get another. Yeah, it's like, okay, everyone's texting me, what do you want? I'm like, I want you guys to not talk about it. That's what I want you to do.
I know. And then the milestone birthdays get older and older. You're like, no. All right, let's chill. Let's chill.
I'm turning 21 for the 8th time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, like we have a decade on you, so we don't feel bad at all. So
yeah. No, you're living your best life right now, so keep doing that.
What the hell happened to your hand?
Yes.
Please. So
oh my god,
I'm in this. I'm on family vacation and we were golfing, and I decided to race to the golf cart because no matter if I'm turning 21 or if I'm turning 29 or if I'm turning 50, I am a child. So for some reason racing, we don't need to race. And I tripped and I fell right into it's the first bone I've ever broken. So I got pretty far. Never breaking something. I'm pretty impressed. So we'll see. This is in this thing for a little bit longer, then back to the doctor, and we'll see.
I like the story though. You were golfing and you're running to the car. Like you don't hear that much. At least you have a good story. Like you didn't fall like off a curb or something. Like
it's not as cool though. The doctor was like, "I wish you had like punched something." Then he later found out that I was a Giants fan. He's like, "It's a little too early to be punching walls."
Wow. True that. Oh man,
as a Giants fan,
well, listen,
you can do this anytime.
Yeah. I want to know, Steph. Let's. So this is draft season, baby. It's draft season. Like we're all excited again. How many leagues are you in? Like over under 6? Like what are we looking at here for a typical Smalls draft season?
Yeah, we have cut back significantly because last year I was in over my head. And at the end of the day, it's like you get to a point where you just don't have time to set every roster. Especially with the way that they pull out injuries, and it got worse with COVID because then you don't know it was a disaster. So it's still over 6. I transitioned some to best ball so I don't have to set the lineups.
Smart.
But it's so hard to not. You
got to do it against yourself at one point. Like it's like I'm rooting. I don't know which players are which team. I'm like, okay, is this team better?
That's the thing. I'm like, which team is that guy on? And I don't know how to do Google Sheets, so I can't come up with a spreadsheet like most of these guys do. So I don't have an easy way to figure it out. I wish Sleeper, great idea. If you could search your rosters, fantastic. Right. But I learned to say no. It's very heartbreaking, but redraft season gets me because a lot of mine are dynasty right now, and redraft has my heart. It's like my favorite way to play fantasy football. I just like it. Very basic. Love it.
You're right. I never done that before a redraft league, and now I think that's something I have to get a part of.
See, I got started on redraft. That's all I know, and I just think it's perfect. You get a fresh restart, and then if you lose somebody from the league, you can just add somebody else. It's not that big a deal.
I joined my first dynasty like 2 years ago. I didn't even know that was really a thing. I was just always, for the longest time, even growing up, I was just joining random Like, I definitely shouldn't have been doing this at the age I was. But I was like joining random ESPN leagues and like not telling my mom, and it's just like creeper alert in like the group. Like I shouldn't have done that, right? But that's how it started. And redraft is so much fun because you're not stuck with these guys. And you know, I like taking some of the older guys, and we're in Dynasty. Some of them don't hold as much.
Take their cash, baby. Take their cash.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So shall we get started? I am in 2 leagues where I know my draft position now. All the same format actually. Redraft, PPR. That's my home base. That just feels right to me. I also don't know any better, so that's just.
Is it Superflex?
No.
I hate Superflex.
Yeah,
I play a lot of Superflex, but I hate it.
Yeah. No, well, I'm not about that life either. Yeah, that's not my life. That's how I roll. Yeah. So Jeff, keep going. What's your
Well, real quick, because I always love fantasy leagues that take it too far, like way too far. Do you have a favorite punishment that you've seen for last place in any kind of fantasy league?
Oh my gosh, what? My brother had to go to McDonald's and eat, I forget what the number was. It was like a disgusting amount of kids' meals, which is one embarrassing because you're sitting there eating a kid's meal. And he had to sit there. I saw someone post the other day at Waffle House. That would nauseate me because I do not do maple syrup. If I had to sit there for 12 hours eating waffles, no.
I saw one that you had to spend 24 hours in a Waffle House eating waffles, and then every waffle that you ate, you take a half hour off.
Just a half hour.
Yeah, or it might have been an hour. Don't quote me on that, but
right.
You get the point. You get time locked off for each pancake that you have or waffle, and it's gross. But I love it.
There are tattoo leagues. That's way too far. There's I saw a good one where last place has to go to like a fancy restaurant.
I saw that.
Winnie the Pooh, was it, or something? Like you just sit across from a stuffed animal in a crowded, nice restaurant.
Yes.
That's really good. I like that one.
Zach, who is a trader and went to the Jets. I think he wasn't that his league, his friend's league or something.
I don't know. I forget how I came
beat
across
writer.
it.
Yeah, I think it was.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
All right. So listen, we're in the middle of draft season. Do you do live drafts anymore? Is that a thing that Smalls does, or is it just
be a thing? I've gone on a couple where it was these. What are they, like podathons? People call them. I've done a couple. I actually just texted my co-host that I think we should definitely do a live draft because they're really fun to do. I haven't gotten in that many, but they're a blast. We should do one.
I do one every year. The guy gets like a proper draft board, and it's an event. Like it's.
You're saying live? I thought you meant
live
recording. Yes, I love live in person. That is the best.
Okay,
if you have not done a in-person draft, like you need to do it. You have not lived. It's so much fun.
COVID ruined it for those last 2 years, but we're back, and I'm so excited. Like it's an event. You know, for some people, it's the better part of fantasy seasons. Like you go to the live draft, you have fun, you get drunk with your girls and your guys, and it sounds like
I'm hosting my first live draft that I'm running, and I ordered the board, and it's an all-female league, and I'm so excited.
Are you going to
level of drunkenness that is acceptable
free money
for a draft? What's the worst that you've gotten during a draft? Because there's been times where my boys that I've gotten towards those ending rounds, it gets a little dark.
Things start to get really blurry, especially it becomes like a tactic. Like I know my friends here, what they started to do, I figured it out. So they will schedule the draft for the day after something. So the guys that get really bad hangovers are miserable the next day.
That's next level shit right there.
Yeah, I'm like, you're low-key psychotic, actually. Like that, I wouldn't take it that far.
That's kind of mean, but I get it.
I've been in a draft where I could take my shot. So we take shots at the bar, but I know a couple of the other lightweights can't really hang. So hey, a couple of shots for everybody. 2 shots in, these guys are starting to slump on their drafts, and this guy is just getting into his own here. So
they did that to me in my golf draft. We did that live, and they're like, "Oh, you're new." They kept giving me shots, and I'm like, by the end, I'm like, "I'm blacked out." Like this is like not like, oh god, like it was fun. They're like, "Oh, you drafted Steven Yeager. Here's 2 Yeager shots," and I'm like,
that'll do it.
Yeah.
That's rough. We implemented a new thing, I think last year, where the last place in the league has to do a power hour at the next draft. And it starts like when the first person's on the clock and he's just got to go. But he's a booze hound. So he was like pretty much fine.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like, this is good for me.
He was totally fine. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty. There are a couple stars, like fantasy superstars that are in new places now. So I'm interested in your thoughts on, I got a couple, but we could start here. Davante Adams, I think he was wide receiver 1 overall last year. Aaron Rodgers' favorite target. He got like a ridiculous, like 20-something% of all of the team's targets went to him. You know how accurate Aaron Rodgers is. It was like an unfair matchup. Now he gets reunited with his college quarterback with the Raiders and Derek Carr. Do you see him as still worth it? Like, how big a drop off here? And are you fading him much, or are you still on that?
I am a little torn with a lot of these guys that went to a new team. I'm less torn, I think, the most about Davante Adams. I think Derek Carr gets a pretty significant amount of flack for just him and Kirk Cousins, they just do their thing, and everyone's like, they're horrible, they suck so bad. And it's like, okay, you're also talking, and Drew Lock is your quarterback. Like, shut up. It's not, I don't know what you're running your mouth about. I think Davante Adams, I think there's something to chemistry, as much as that's not a metric. I think there's something to the fact that he left Aaron Rodgers, who is literally arguably one of, if not the best quarterback in the league, to go play with Derek Carr. I think that, unfortunately, Davante Adams eats up, Hunter Renfrow, where we got flashes of that, and it was exciting. I think he's going to eat into that a little bit more. Is he a top 3 wide receiver next year? No, but again, like dropping out of the top 5, I don't know about that. I think that he's going to still get fed.
Exactly. And in the red zone, where do you think Derek Carr is going with the ball?
Yeah. Why do you think he's on the team? Like, he's there to get them. Like, that's a big deal. I don't know that Derek Carr has ever had someone like, you can't compare Davante Adams to anyone. And I think that it's huge for the Raiders. It'll be interesting to see how they do. I feel like everyone's torn. They're either in or out on the Raiders. No one's in this wishy.
Right. Yeah. Well,
hard division.
Little fun fact for you guys. Davante Adams and Derek Carr, former college teammates at Fresno State. So there is a connection. They do have a familiarity. That's why I think Adams partly at least picked, the money was the big issue, but he's not starting from scratch on there. So that's why I think it's going to be a nice little relationship. And, Davante Adams just gets open. You'd be like, you know what? He's open. I'm going to throw it somewhere else. He just gets open. You have to throw it.
I love when people are like, oh, new playbook. Like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's Davante Adams. Like, some players, it just doesn't matter. You could stick them anywhere, and they don't. It's going to be just fine. They're in a tough division there, so that probably adds to it. They've kind of shaped up their line a little. I think they're in a good spot for Davante Adams to easily finish the top 5.
That adds a little fuel to the fire for me being in that division, because points are going to be scored and it's going to be a lot of shootouts. I think it's going to be a fun. That is the division to watch. You compare the NFC East to what they have going on. It's like, man,
I always joke, thank God we're in the NFC while we're in this horrible stage, because if we were in the AFC, we'd be getting our asses whooped. Which we already are.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. I'm going to go quickly through these other ones. Davante Adams was the biggest one. Julio Jones, is he worth picking up? And he's with the Bucs now with Tom Brady. Chris Godwin's recovering. Mike Evans is still going to be the alpha.
Yeah.
Do you see Julio Jones as being an actual fantasy asset?
I am torn. I think that they're not the same type of receiver, but I think you could expect kind of numbers like we saw from Antonio Brown while he was there. Not the same role, obviously, well aware of that, but I think at the end, if you're going to start throwing darts, I'm probably throwing darts there, but I'm not going to be the psychopath to be drafting Julio Jones before, in the 7th round. Like, let's not get crazy here. But I think, before you go and take some of those dart throws at the end, of course, I'm going to take Julio Jones.
And if you have him as your wide receiver 3, you're probably in a good spot. Like, I'm comfortable with that.
You're bragging, at that point.
There's good touchdown upside at that point. Yeah. Russell Wilson going to the Broncos. I'm like, I don't know what to expect. He's, a lot of fantasy people are talking about him turning like Cortland Sutton and Judy into superstars. I don't know as much. I don't know. Is Russell Wilson the same dude, and can he return to that kind of fantasy production? What do you think?
I cannot stand Russell Wilson. Like, I don't know what it is.
It sounds personal.
He just irritates me. Last year, I think, finished as like QB 16, so he did miss some time and when he got injured. I don't know what to think about the Broncos. I don't like this attitude that we have Russell Wilson and we're going to be awesome now. Right. I think there's a little bit more to that than everyone is acting. I also, I think Sutton's great for it. Judy has a lot to prove, but I think he'll have that opportunity now that he has, Russell Wilson there. I'm torn. Right. If he falls to me, yeah, but I'm definitely not going and reaching for him over his ADP. I'm actually interested where people are drafting.
If it's not now, listen. If it's not now, it's never for Judy. Like he's gotta have that big season. And,
I have so much Judy.
I know. It's like get in on it now because it's like again, it's all or nothing. Like either we're gonna see the big blow up or not. So I'm excited for Russell Wilson. I'm more excited for what it's gonna open up for Javonte Williams because that's my boy right there. That's my boy.
I'm big on him too. I like him.
He's finally got a quarterback that can throw the ball and open up the field for him. So I'm looking forward to that.
I'm a Melvin Gordon lover, so I have.
God, that's a weird backfield because they were pretty much split on production, but one has all the upside and one is on the downside of his career, yet still completely effective. Like you saw, was it week 1 we played the Broncos last year and Melvin Gordon took off for like 80 yards one of the last plays of the game. It's like, okay, he's still got wheels. He's still got something.
And now he's playing with his best friend. Like Russell Wilson's his best friend.
Damn. I mean, quick.
Sets up well.
Was it Mr. Unlimited that turned you off for Russell Wilson, that video?
And now if I have to hear, what does he say? Broncos country lines, right? If I have to hear that one more time.
He does do some cringe stuff.
He's just corny. And he's a fantastic quarterback. He's just corny.
If he was the Giants quarterback, I'd love him, but he's a little cringe otherwise.
Of course.
Quick shout out to Eli Rax, our fearless leader, who is a working man today. I think he's listening in. Authentic, always showing support in the chat. We got R0, good to see you guys. Authentic Richard, got some of our good friends in here, but if you guys want to join the show, I dropped the link up above. You can hop in. Let's take a call real quick. We got Els. You got a quick fantasy question for the expert. How you doing, brother?
What's good?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man.
I just have one question. Just wondering what's the highest you would pick Saquon at in the fantasy draft?
Great question.
That is a great question. And we were just talking about this earlier. I think by the end, he's going to find himself back in that first round, already seeing him creep back up somewhere between 12 and the 15th pick there. I have my hesitations. I also I have a hard time drafting Giants players because I don't want to be mad at them double. Yes. It's the problem. Like, I want to be mad at you one way, not two. But yes, if he falls to me and I have the 112, I am probably taking Saquon.
Okay, good. I'm picking at 10, so I'm thinking I'm probably going to take him.
Yeah.
Els,
it's hard.
I'm with Els. I have the 10 picks, and it's a 10-team league, so I get 10 and 11. So you have options there. Like Kelsey could fall there. And that's a separate question if he's still worth it there. But then Diggs might be there. Jamar Chase could fall to you there. Then you have your guys like Swift, Saquon, Joe Mixon. It's hard. Yeah. It's hard to draw a line. And it's like Saquon is tempting right there, man.
You look at the peaks though. Like you look at the peak. What Saquon has potential league winning ability. Like I'll take that risk.
He has shown
down there. Like I'll take that risk. And they're gonna throw him the ball. So if you're in a PPR, like his base should be, pretty damn good every week. Barring health, as always, with that guy. So it's a risk.
But you look at what they did. Like, the O-line does look better. And now you have some more weapons to maybe take the pressure off. So I am optimistic, cautiously optimistic, just because obviously we all know I don't have to even explain that to anyone. But I think this is the year. I think Saquon he looks good. So I'm all in. I'm back all in. I was hesitant, but
let's go.
It's our guy, so.
I like it. Els, you got anything else for us?
No, that was it. Just my puppy wants to say hi.
Hello, puppy.
Hey,
yo, what up, little
Aldo, appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, thanks for stopping in, man. Appreciate you. That's such a good question. And my 2 spots are the 4th and the 10th pick. And if I get Saquon on the way back at the 4th pick in the second round, then it's kind of a no-brainer at that point. but it's real tempting at that 10. Do you still see Kelsey as worthy of a pick at 10, or do you just think the playing field has leveled a little bit in the tight end?
I'm struggling with the tight end position kind of this year as far as drafting. I've been finding myself where I was always so tight end heavy, and that was one of my first picks. I'm the person that is taking a tight end in the first round. You know, I think Kelsey, I'm torn. I think I would lean Kelsey over Kittle if I was in the position to do that. But again, I think we're starting to see them maybe start to plateau a little bit.
It's so weird.
I hate to say it, but Kelsey's old.
Right. And
he's really old.
Dude, there's no Tyreek Hill now. He is the favorite target by far. But he's also older, and he's been relatively healthy. So it's like
that's a negative thing, though, Jeff. That's a negative thing because Hill's not taking that coverage deep.
Yeah,
now
true.
Everybody's focusing on Kelsey. That Tyreek Hill did so much good for Kelsey in the middle of that field. It was wide open all the time. Now you have everybody focusing. Who scares you on the Kansas City offense right now, wide receiver wise?
Or you don't know what Juju is going to be or MVS. You don't know. You have no idea how. Nobody's Tyreek Hill.
None of them are scaring me.
I'm upset that he's not on the Chiefs anymore.
And I think with Kelsey, you have to look at it this way too. And this is the nice thing of redraft is you look at guys like Kelsey, even guys like Saquon. Like even if you only get say 8-9 games out of them, you can still win your league. They're still league winners because you're getting so much upside those weeks if they're at their full potential and they're hitting that ceiling. You can still afford it. So with Kelsey, it's like I'm probably still okay taking him, knowing that maybe he does end up missing a couple games.
True.
Yeah. And if it's just a couple, he's still guaranteed double-digit points, and with the upside.
And when he does, it's like you're getting 30+ points a game. Yeah. So if I get 30+ a game, 5 games, fine.
Right,
that's true. Spiro, what you got, bud?
Yeah, so here I got a question, a little NFC East question here. So we're talking quarterbacks here. Highest floor, Dak or Hurts? And it seems like an obvious question, but and I hate it because Hurts was not a good quarterback, but every week I looked up and he was scoring 30 points a week because of his running game. Yeah. So it pissed me off. And now Dak, you're taking a worse offensive line. You're taking away Amari Cooper. It's not as easy as a question as it seemed anymore. So what is your take on this, Smalls?
My take is I think that, and this is unbiased, as much as we all can agree that we hate Dallas. I think that Dallas is going to struggle a little bit this year. I think their O-line sucks. I think that, there is stats that I could pull out of anywhere that Dak just plays better when two things are happening. It's when Amari Cooper was on the field because he's no longer there. And two, when Zeke is heavily involved. They've kind of been moving Zeke to doing this blocking and, Pollard is involved. And I think that Dak is going to kind of try to figure out this offense, and there might be a little bit of an adjustment there. I actually think the guy to get on Dallas is I really like Schultz. I think that we see him he quietly finished as like tight end. I don't even know what it was. He quietly finished very, very well. I like CeeDee Lamb. I think there's a lot to like, but Amari Cooper is a big hit, and you don't have Gallup and for a little bit. And I think that relying on Tolbert is also, who I like. I think that's a lot. That's a questionable thing to do, especially with the O-line. So I think Dallas is in for it a little bit. Not that I think that Dallas is, we know how Dallas's story goes. Jalen Hurts is going as QB7 right now. And some people have him ranked as their QB1. And I think for good reason, whether, we agree that Jalen Hurts is good or not, I think you can't deny the fact that he's so mobile that you are just stacking up points. So, and they did. Unfortunately, the Eagles had a nice offseason, as much as it makes me sick. I mean,
AJ Brown is a great addition, man. Scary.
I think he's going to be.
Got to get the ball to him.
Yes.
I
like. That's the thing.
I like both of those.
Can he throw the ball down the field? Can Hurts throw the ball down the field to him?
Yeah.
We'll find out. But he was stacking up those numbers last year without an AJ Brown. So you'd say, in theory, like, okay.
He's got the rushing upside. He gets red zone runs. He scores. I think he had 10 rushing touchdowns. And he's going to feed AJ Brown. AJ Brown has a chip on his shoulder because he's pissed about how it ended in Tennessee. I actually like them both.
And who's sneaky, just since we are talking fantasy, is Devontae Smith is a great pick at where he is going right now because – the coverage is going to move over to AJ Brown, and Devontae Smith quietly had a very a respectable rookie season.
Mhm.
So Devontae Smith, sometimes I found myself, going towards him for where you can get him over
Value,
AJ
yeah.
Brown.
Yeah.
So,
Because-
I'm not saying he's going to be someone that you should rely on as your wide receiver 1, but if he's on your roster, I think you're in a good spot.
Yeah,
I wanna ask-
consistent wide receiver 2. I agree.
Mhm.
Go
Yeah,
ahead, Jeff.
if he's your 2 or 3, then you're in good shape because he's got some upside and probably a good floor too. We have another guest calling in, but real quick, I want to ask this question. Who do you think will be the biggest bust that was great last year? If you got anybody on your mind.
That's a good question. It depends what you consider great. Like, are you saying like top 5 in their position, maybe?
Let's go that. Let's go with
That's
that.
fine.
Who's
mean,
gonna take
like-
a big step back?
I don't want to say it. I think Tyreek Hill is not going to have as good of a year as we've seen him.
Yes.
I think there's
he's
a
a
lot
perfect
going on
candidate.
there.
Yep, perfect candidate for that.
And I think that Jalen, and again, this is no knock. It's so funny when I'm so used to now you have to preface everything like, I don't mean that. Like, I don't mean that Tyreek Hill is not a good football player. He is obviously one of the best wide receivers
Right.
in the league. But the problem is Miami's they're in a weird spot right now. I'm excited for them, happy for whatever they think is going to happen. I think that, McDaniels might be in for it a tiny bit. He's got a lot of weapons, added as many running backs as he could possibly find. And again,
Right.
like, you have Jalen Waddle. And people are just like, oh, screws Jalen Waddle. I don't
rookie
know that
wide
that's going to be the case. Yeah. I think Tyreek will do great. I think he might find himself, I don't know if bust, but busting at his ADP where he's probably still
Right.
going as wide receiver 4. Yeah, for sure. I don't think that that's going to happen this year.
I feel you. And what scares me, and I don't know if you guys agree with this, I'm a Jonathan Taylor owner, and it scares me that they might have overused him a bit last year. I saw. I don't know if I should be worried. Should I be worried?
No.
What do we think about Jonathan Taylor?
No, I
he's
wouldn't
ready to
be
go.
worried
Matt
about
Ryan
him.
in there. Okay, good.
I
Don't worry about
see.
it.
That's another one. People are underestimating Matt Ryan. They got
Huge
an
addition.
upgrade at quarterback there. Like, he is. This is why I'm in on Pittman. This is why I'm in. Like, that is a fantastic. No one should be worried about the Colts over there. I think it was awesome. Another guy that might bust, I think, is Mark Andrews, who finished as tight end 1.
Ooh.
Not because, again, I just think that now they're going to revert back to this really run-heavy game that everyone forgot they normally do because half of their 70% of their roster got injured. So they had to rely on the pass to stay in games, which they were able to do. But yeah, so I think Mark Andrews is probably a candidate for, he's not finishing tight end 1. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Well, that's we talked about 2 guys, Kelsey now and Andrews, that have questionable outlooks now. And those were like the number, those were the consensus top guys.
Yeah.
So that just throws the whole tight end group in flux. And one more thing about that tight end group. Kyle Pitts, one word.
Yeah.
Go.
I mean, you should draft him as soon as you possibly can. He's not lasting in your drafts. And the thing is, too, like, he's really not a tight end. He's a wide receiver, and they need a wide receiver. So not only is he, like, eligible to be your tight end, because that's what he is, you're getting receiver work out of him, too.
Right.
So it's almost a 2-for-1 deal. And I think that Kyle Pitts, you look at the numbers that he was able to put up, he's going to be the most consistent thing on the offense.
Okay. I like it.
With that said, let's take another caller, R0B. What's up, my
Hey.
dude?
Let's go, buddy.
You
Oh,
muted?
no. Oh,
He's
no.
muted.
Wait,
Muted.
don't do the intro yet. You're muted. Don't do the intro yet.
You're
Can't hear you.
muted. We want to hear you.
Yes. Come on. With the hat and the get up, he looks great right now.
You got it. I wonder what you were saying.
I know. It's probably he does. He does.
He was saying, "Go Dallas."
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
are.
Yes, you're in.
Finally,
Woohoo!
R0B has come back to New York Revival.
Let's go.
Are we ready for the game tonight? I know it's
Dude.
preseason, but I'm hyped for the game tonight. I got my gear on, rocking it.
I have my
all day.
LT shirt on.
There you go. There you go.
That's
There you go, baby. There you
do,
go.
yeah.
Let's
There you go. There
go.
you go.
We're all ready.
Super excited.
Mr. Glass Half Full, you have nothing to worry about with Jonathan Taylor,
Thank you.
my friend.
I
You have
agree.
nothing to worry about.
Appreciate
As a
that.
matter
I
of
like
fact, I'll give you a hot take right now, right off, just
Love it.
coming in.
Please come in with it.
JT will be the number one running back this season over Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Over
Yeah,
Derrick
let's
Henry.
go.
Over
Easily.
Derrick Henry. So
Yes.
you have nothing to worry about. When it comes
appreciate
down to
that.
some of the wide receivers, Jamar Chase, I think, is probably going to be the number one wide receiver this year. Out of all of the wide receivers that's there, I think Adams will be the number two. I think a lot of people
think a little bit.
Woo! You're missing someone
Jefferson.
there. My boy.
Let's go.
What, Tyler Boyd? You talking about Tyler Boyd?
No, Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson, baby.
oh,
Let's go.
God.
I got all the stock in
Oh
Justin
my
Jefferson.
See,
All of it.
Justin Jefferson, I don't know. Like, for me, Justin Jefferson is to me like he's a good player, but I think he's more
Great.
of like an average. He's an average player in my opinion.
Oh my God! Did someone set you up? Did you?
No.
Did someone set you up to come on here? Because you
Yeah,
don't want.
seriously.
I don't have all day to give you the rundown on Justin Jefferson here.
He's an absolute stud.
he's-
What do you
he's-
mean?
I think he's a good player. I don't think that he's like a big standout guy like we see in some of these other wide receivers like a I don't like if you compared him to like a Devontae Adams, like I don't think he's in that same league. Like I don't think he's a number one guy that's a
Someone
game
doesn't
changer.
watch Vikings games. That's
I don't. I don't. I don't watch a
Fair.
lot of Vikings games at all. But just in my opinion, I think Hunter Renfrow, is really a guy that people should be
that
going for because I look at it as think about like how when the Patriots got Randy Moss, Wes Welker really boomed when it came to receiving. So I think Hunter Renfrow is really going to benefit from not only having Devontae Adams there, but also now you still have Darren Waller there. So you got two guys that are top targets on that team that if you can see Hunter Renfrow, I would definitely grab him. For the Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, you said Devontae Smith. I think Watkins is another guy that people should be looking at to try to grab as a wide receiver 3.
Interesting.
I think that he could produce some type of points and value for some teams, not necessarily as a starter, but maybe as a flex, put him as a flex position, or maybe, if you have a guy that's on a buy from another team, you pop him in. But I think Jamar Chase is probably going to be the highest ranked wide receiver coming out.
Okay.
Barkley, I'm excited for Barkley. I wouldn't take him super high because obviously his injuries and stuff like that. I'm a Giants fan saying that.
Right.
So I wouldn't take him super, super high. But I agree. I think the Colts really made an upgrade with Matt Ryan. I think he's a way better quarterback than what they've had the last couple of years, probably since Andrew Luck left, to be honest. I think he's probably the best quarterback that they've had. And in regards to the division, Mr. Gosselin, you asked about Dak and Hurts. To be honest, I think we've seen the best out of both of those players already. Like, I don't think that Hurts is very good. He's a great dual threat from a fantasy standpoint. It's good.
Right.
I
That's what
like
we're
dual
talking about
threat
here.
quarterbacks, guys that can run and pass for touchdowns. I always
Big
got
Daniel
Russell
Jones
Wilson.
fan, huh?
I was just about to say that.
I always got Russell. I always got Cam Newton because, Cam would be good for 2 or 3 touchdowns and then he would run for 1 or 2. So he was a great fantasy guy. But when it comes to A.J. Brown, like I think A.J. Brown was a stretch, and I'm glad we didn't sign him to $100 million. But I think that was a stretch signing for the Philadelphia Eagles because the guy had the best running back in the National Football League, and you couldn't break 1,100 yards. Even after he went down, he still couldn't break 1,100 yards, and he's not really known for a lot of touchdowns either. So now he's going to be getting covered by – he's the number one guy, so now he's going to be getting covered. So I really don't think he's going to really amount to much. I think he's going to be an average wide receiver there, probably similar to what we saw out of Kenny Galladay, to be honest with you, out of production.
Whoa, that's a hot take.
I hope you're right.
That's what I think. I think it's going to be – I think that's what it's –
I can't stop thinking about how I want to make a side bet with you that Justin Jefferson 100% outscores Jamar Chase this year.
Yes.
And to be fair, too, with Kenny Pickett, Kenny Pickett's a good pick. If you pick him, hold on to him and don't worry if he doesn't put up points early because it's a new quarterback, rookie. They're going to be out of sync, so don't stress about it.
Small.
He's got big hands. Have you seen Kenny Pickett's hands? Those things.
I have bigger hands than him.
But I don't worry if you
wanna,
pick Kenny Pickett. Don't stress about it early because he'll put up his numbers.
Real quick, back to the
Sorry, hold on. I just got to. Do you see these
Spiro,
stats over here?
what?
Do we see these stats?
What's this?
Do we
Yeah, it
see
was
these stats?
average.
These look average to you? 14,
I'm just kidding.
17 TDs. Come on, bro.
I'm just
17
I'm just kidding.
TDs.
Jeez, bro. Come on.
I'm actually
Those
with
are wide receiver
Authentic.
one stats.
I'm with Authentic on this one in terms of Dak or Hurts. I do think we've seen the best of Dak because his window was the
Yes.
last 2 years, specifically last year when he had Amari Cooper and the line was somewhat together.
Mhm.
And now that I think the Zeke contract is killing him, they gave Dak a big bag, and I think their roster is going to slowly fall apart, which will just be beautiful to watch.
Oh, of course. Zeke,
and-
to me, Zeke doesn't seem like he fits that offense. And I'm surprised that they even kept him. For me, Tony Pollard did almost the same amount of production with less time on the field. And Tony seems like he is more of what they need. Like he can run, he can catch.
I think
more
he's
of that
going to
dual
get
threat guy.
I think he's going to be a great PPR ad as a flex, or if you need like an RB2 in a bye week. I love Pollard. I'd much rather take Pollard at his draft position than Zeke anywhere.
Mhm.
I really want no part of Zeke. And Steph alluded to it before. They're using him as a blocker. He's actually a great pass blocker. The dude
He's
is
awesome.
not
Zeke is
Like
great.
randomly, yeah, awesome.
like he's.
I think
real
Hurts will
good.
get better too. I want to make sure.
Yes.
And
agreed.
out of all of the, I'll be honest, even out of all the wide receivers for Dallas, I mean, they lost. I think the top target I would go with, I agree with Steph, is Dalton Schultz. I think he's going to be the vocal point for Dak. It's going to be Romo, Witten again.
Right.
I think that's going to be his main target because CeeDee Lamb, somebody had said it a long time, I think it was like a couple of months ago, is that if you're a number one wide receiver, you come out and you are a number one wide receiver. When you come out, that's what you are. CeeDee Lamb was never a number one wide receiver. It was always Amari Cooper the 2 years that CeeDee was there. So, to me, CeeDee they're going to play him at a number one, but I don't think he has number one potential. I don't think he's ready to take on the top corner that's there. Cedric Wilson was a good slot guy for them. They lost him, unfortunately. I think, and Michael Gallup, he makes some plays, but I would have kept Amari Cooper over Gallup. I would have let Gallup walk, and I would have kept Amari Cooper because I feel Amari Cooper really helped out more of that offense than I think CeeDee Lamb and Gallup will do on their own. So for me, Dalton Schultz is going to be the main vocal point of that offense. He might even get 100 balls. He might even catch 100 passes this year. I'm not even joking. I think he'll catch.
And he finished tight end 3 last year. It's ridiculous, actually.
He had like 70, I think. I think he had like 70 receptions last year, and he really didn't start coming on until probably week between 4 or 6 is really when he started really picking up. So there was a few weeks where he didn't he was getting into the groove. So if he can stay healthy, easily, I think he'll get 100 catches. I'll give him 100 catches for almost 900 yards, and I'll give him 12 touchdowns.
Big year. R0, thank you for stopping by, my dude.
Appreciate you, my dude.
You.
Go Justin Jefferson. Go Justin Jefferson.
Later, brother.
Later.
What a character. I love his intros.
The best.
Especially
the
when the mic is on. That's unfortunate.
All right, listen.
He's the intro master.
We're gonna. I don't want to take too much of everybody's time up. I know everybody's got shit to do during the day, but listen, Steph, we got a little game we want to play because we know you're a big golf girl now. You're a big golf girl, so we want to mix in
huge golf girl.
Yes.
Massive golf girl.
That's how big a golf fan you gave a body part for it. We love it. So what I want to do is play a little game here. So we're gonna compare fantasy positions to clubs in your bag. Okay, it's gonna get a little crazy here. I know. Yeah.
Don't sweat it.
I don't. I still don't use my irons. I try to, but
okay.
I'm like,
all right. So
can I hit a 3-1 here? Can I hit a 3-1? Okay.
Awesome. All right. Listen. So, all right. Who is your driver position? The position that you're drafting for that's gonna go get you the biggest points. Quarterback.
It's gonna be wide receiver because I'm gonna draft Justin Jefferson.
Boom! I like it.
How high would you take him if it's a first round? Obviously,
you guys know how crazy I am, so you're gonna make me say it. I would take him as the 101.
Wow!
Which is like, I'm not telling anyone to do that. Just when I commit to it, and I think that 103 is probably the realistic, sane spot to be taking him. But it would really shock me if Justin Jefferson doesn't end up being a top 2 wide receiver this year. You know, his first year, wide receiver 6, second wide receiver 4. Mike Zimmer's freaking gone. Like, people don't realize how big of a deal that is. He's never played in the NFL under an offensive-minded coach, and they gave him Kevin O'Connell. Like, it's a really big deal.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so now we don't use irons, but who is your what's your most consistent club? Like in between the driver, your 3-wood probably, right?
My 3-wood, yeah.
Okay, so who's your 3-wood that's gonna consistently get you points every week? Not necessarily the highest, but a consistent point every week.
Let's see.
We're talking position groups, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Consistency. I think running back. I think that's a good play. Actually, tight end. Tight end is usually like, you can get a solid tight end, that mid-tier, right? Like, they're all scoring you the same amount of points. Like,
right.
They're basically all finishing at the same amount of points, and
like
you know what you're getting. Right. Yeah. Period. You're not getting more. You might get a random week where you get a lot out of him. But I think tight end, that's where, you can play it safe, wait, and you know that you're going to get, okay, you can name a tight end, you can get 8 points out of him every week.
Right. Exactly. Agreed. All right, last one. Your putter.
How do you describe a putter? I was wondering where you're going to go with this one.
Well, look, so someone that closes
like my risky
week.
Because
yeah,
my putter is not good.
Okay. Let's go that way then. Who's the risky, the position group that's going to be boom or bust for you? Like, it's going to either hit you big points or it's going to be a shit show.
I think it's a toss-up between quarterback and running back. Not that there's any positions left for me to pick, but I think with quarterback, because I tend to do as much zero quarterback as I possibly can when I draft. Like, I do not want a quarterback early. I don't care. You guys can have your Justin Herberts and your Patrick Mahomes. Keep them. That's fine. I'm just going to take like Kirk Cousins, or I don't know, even Daniel Jones and Jared Goff. Right. And I'm just going to take like 3 of them and then just rotate them in and out.
Okay. So I say quarterback is your boomer bust. That makes sense.
Probably.
I like that. Well, listen, Jeff, you got anything else that you want to add? I think we've had a pretty damn good fun show over here. What do you think, man?
No, this is great. I might talk to Steph on the side and get her strategy about selfishly. I want to know what I should do at my draft positions and talk through it with somebody.
You have fun draft positions too. Like, you're right at that sweet spot. Yeah. I kind of 4 is fun this year. I usually don't like the 4, but I think it's fun this year.
Well, you can have your pick of wide receivers, or there's still. I mean, you could get like a Cook, a Henry. There's going to be guys there that are.
Someone's going to drop.
It just depends on, those guys have a lot of tread on the tire. Do you do that, or do you go for whatever? Just get your wide receivers. So there's a lot to think about there, and I'm trying to stop thinking about it.
You can't. It's going to consume you.
I just love it. I just love competing. It makes football so fun. I love it all. But Steph, thanks so much for coming. I think we'll do this more, and me and Spiro love chopping it up, and I think. We're going to have more people chime in. We're going to have to talk about waiver wire pickups and what to do in our drafts. But Steph, good friend of ours. We appreciate you big time. She's at Stephie Smalls. Make sure you give her a follow. She's spicy on Twitter. Yes. You probably know. Spiro, any closing remarks for you? Stephie, anything else you want to plug? How about that?
Yes, please.
You guys can find my stuff. This is about you guys. I thank you for having me on. We should do this more often. Go back to my roots. It's so much fun to just chop it up with you guys. So let's do it again soon. Thank you so much.
You got it.
Hey, I'm ready for drafts, baby. It's draft season. I got one next week. I got one every week for the next 3 weeks now. So it's like let's go. It's that time.
It's go time. It's here. By summer, I don't even care.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining. If you had a good time, like and subscribe. Tell your friends, and we will be doing this again. It sounds like so. Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of your day.